was a good thing. No, not you. And when you sit down on that rocking chair and you look out, thinking of the life you made, let it be one of adventure. The failures that made you stronger, the wandering that unveiled life's beauty, and the ends that became beginnings, because that is the essence of a life truly lived.
Okay, should we rock and roll?
Let's go.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
What is your
I don't know what happened to the four in the front here.
My friends, I don't know where my friends are.
speakers on?
The speaker's in the way.
Oh, in the way, fair enough.
There you go.
Some people can't hear, some people can't see. I don't know what to do, basically. Are we missing anyone? Look to your left, look to your right. It feels like we're missing someone.
My neighbors, all my neighbors are
They
not
didn't
here.
come.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Oh, well.
They're just late.
We've lost the dabblers. Okay, cool. So, couple of things that I'd like to kind of go through. To all of you online, I'm going to assume you can see me. I'm not quite sure how to do this, because I'm going to leave the PowerPoint up there so that you don't look at me. Alex, could you just watch your phone with Shane? And Shane, if you could just type to Alex on the WhatsApp if there's anything that we need to know, because I can't see it on the screen. But at least people can see us in 3D, and then you guys don't have to watch me moving around on the screen. Okay, so we had a bit of a debrief last night between Abdul and Derek and Judy and Alex, just in terms of kind of what we thought from yesterday, what we could improve upon, and how we can add more value in simple terms. Because our whole logic is you've come here, you've invested your most important asset, your time, and it's how can we make you walk away with getting as much out of this as possible. Is that fair? So one of the things that we discussed a lot yesterday was that there was a lot of theory yesterday, and there's a lot of information that we wanted to, or I specifically wanted to dispel upon you. But we really want to make today as interactive as possible. So today we want to kind of focus on interaction, we want to focus on partnership, we want to focus on walking away with a plan, and most importantly, I want you to focus on getting results. Is that fair? Yeah? So with that in mind, with interaction in mind, I'd like to get started with let's try and, so we're going to do this in two different ways. Firstly, we're going to start off by asking you some of the takeaways that you had, questions that you had. So I had a question this morning that I want to answer. If there's any other questions, I'm sure you were driving home last night or lying in bed, or maybe you were like me where you woke up at 3 a.m. in the morning and your mind was spinning and you were like, right, boom, boom, action time, and you got questions. So, and don't complain about being tired because I've been up since 3 o'clock. But no, with all sincerity, I want to kind of just start off, and then what we're going to do is that because we look like we're in a Harvard lecture hall, we might as well behave like we're in a Harvard lecture hall. So we're going to get these 4 chairs up here, and I'm going to bring my 4 distinguished professors along to come and sit up behind our podium here. And we're actually going to do a bit of an interactive Q&A. So I've got some questions in my head that I kind of want to go through. We've got some exciting announcements we want to share, but also want you guys to be able to participate in that. Is that fair? Okay, so you see how it's going to be a dual process. The good news today, there's 3 bits of news that I want to tell you. So the first bit of news, which has nothing to do with investing, but it's very important. Does anyone know what it is?
All Blacks won.
Well done, you win the trophy. Well done, Derek. Now, why is that important? Because the Springboks are back to number 1.
Yeah.
I would never actually go for the All Blacks because I'm actually Irish. I actually have an Irish passport, but the Springboks come first. So nothing to do with rugby, but well done, Derek. Sorry, nothing to do with investing, but well done, Derek. Okay. Second point is we're not in a rush today. So Judy said to me, Scott, if we can finish by lunchtime, great, we can give everyone their time back, okay? That's perfect. If we can do that, no problem. I'm not going to keep here statistically just because I like to keep people on a Saturday afternoon. But I equally want to add as much value as possible. Does that make sense? So, but the beauty is today we're not in a time rush. So we're going to go with the ebbs and flow of how we go, and we'll finish when we finish. Don't get me wrong. I love my castle light, and the sooner we finish, the sooner I have a castle light. So it's a win-win. However, saying that, I want to make sure that today we walk away with understanding. Is that fair?
Yes.
Because otherwise it's just one way, one direction, or lots of information. I guarantee you by Monday morning you won't remember 99% of it. Is that fair? Okay, so please ask any question you got, particularly the people in the room. But Shane, my partner, just quickly, you know, the one thing I just do want to say in case I forget later, please don't take for granted that I might get a bit of the credit for standing on stage, but this is a team effort. Like without Alex, we wouldn't be here. Not a single person would be in this room. Nothing would be working. You wouldn't have a TV screen even in terms of this process. So I'd just like to have a round of applause for Alex. Seriously. And the silent ninja who's not even in the room to be able to get a physical applause, but I would like to make sure he hears it online. And to those of you in the chat box, chuck in the congratulations. But all the systems, all the marketing, everything that's set up in our entire university, and my co-partner and co-founder in the Walter University is Shane. And I just think he deserves all the credit. Well done to you, Shane, wherever you are. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that we acknowledge that. So I think without further ado, should we rock and roll? So what I'd like to do is, I'm actually going to, how am I going to do this? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my screen up, my iPad up, and I'd like to know just some of the things that people thought that were key takeaways for them. Because what I thought would be quite valuable for you is if I write them down, we might actually start to create a list. And the feedback that, I think Abdul, it was yours, I want to try to give credit where it was due, but it was something along the lines of, Scott, you talk too much, and I'm not being disrespectful, it's really important. Because one of the things I'm passionate about, so I like to share a lot of information, but what Abdul said to me, he said, what's really important, Scott, is that people synthesize it into what's the important point so they can walk away with a point. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I think what we want to try and achieve now, before we go to module 4 and 5, is let's synthesize points 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
Okay, so is there anything, and by the way, to my wonderful partners, you guys please jump in as well. And then we're going to do the panel just now in terms of that process. But let's do an interactive one with the group to start off with, if that makes sense. So, where are we at? Has anyone got any ideas, any thoughts, any key takeaways? I've got some that I'll share with you, but I don't want to go first.
So,
You guys, you're seeing the screen.
no,
Let me
for
get
me
the
it's
chat box
lots-
up.
You made it a lot simpler. So I never did investing because I was always just, oh my god, it's too complicated and for other people.
Yep.
And for me, it's actually like, actually, this is actually not that good. Like, this is quite easy. As long as you have a process to follow.
Okay, so,
Scott, can I ask a question first?
yeah.
You said you don't do investment because it's for other
Oh.
people. But did you want to have the results that they were getting? Did you see and
Also, like, I've always owned property, so that's always been mine. Like, just throw, hey, own a property, own a commercial property, or throw some money into unit trust because that's what you're meant to do. But I've never thought of owning gold or assets or equities or looking at things on my own. I've always just been too busy raising 2 kids and running a company. So you just go like, on that rat race, and you just go, okay, cool, I'll just, put some money away in unit trusts and I'll buy another commercial property and then never buy residential. I made that mistake several times.
for me, I had the same feeling, but I've always kind of yearned for the, people that invest are making money, and I'm not making money. But I don't get to invest because it's just something that rich people do.
Yeah,
Yes.
actually, I don't think it's crossed my brain yet. Like, I haven't even really planned my retirement because I'm still like, I live a comfortable life. My company gives me a nice salary. I'm happy. I've never really thought about,
Yeah.
until recently when we spoke about selling your business and what's the number you need to retire on. And then I actually just had a chat with my husband. I'm like, shit, I think we better sit down with these people and actually plan our retirement because we have all these grand plans. So they say the enemy of a good life, a great life is a good life. That's what we're living.
So it reminds me of that must and should.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? We get what we must, and And I love that. I mean, you know, enemy of a good life is a great, enemy of a great life is a good life. It's exactly the same thing. No, brilliant. Well, thank you for that takeaway. Yeah.
For me, is that yes, investing. I think they were saying about properties. I always love property, but for me, it was more like, you know, because I don't work the job that I'll have a retirement annuity. It was more like whatever you know, property I have. It will be when I'm 50, 60. If I don't have to work, at least I have a salary. But now also yesterday I was hosting a dinner. You know, that's why I think maybe I overslept a little bit. And I already told the people, and then because that was 11th hour kind of a thing, and they already have other things, everybody's kind of like interested. And I said, okay, in the next Bible talk, I'll just like share it, and then maybe I'll get the link that we had it on that 5-day thing to share it there, so that I say, you don't know how easy it is actually to invest. You know, it is more like you don't have to worry about it. I know what I went through for 10 years, that I have people in the property that I think that it was my retirement. It ended up paying them to stay there, and to take them out, you pay so much money for the lawyers, and you end up 10 years, people are still there. And kind of I sold them, maybe I didn't make any money because I was paying for their rates and tax and so on. But now when I realized that, if I knew about 3 years ago, actually I will be earning a salary, because I will have taken all the property that I have, I put it there. I sold it, I misused the money, and we didn't know that how much money can work for you, because, I mean, for black people, I don't know, most of us, when we have money, we just got Gucci's, and it must be big cars, and you know, just like we don't really know that you
No, it's not only for black people. This like one's Porsches and it's trust me. Literally this morning we drove out. There was like a Porsche. And what other fancy? I don't even do cars. What other fancy car? A what? G-Wagon. G-Wagon. He literally says, before I buy my first house, I'm going to buy a Porsche. I'm like,
it's about the knowledge and and my take is that about the knowledge, you know, it's like in how to do the knowledge is the power, and also the way to say the right partners, because now you cannot everything, you cannot know everything, and then it just let the people that actually the guru on that let you lead your way, because now I was doing with the blindfolded, not even being aware. Then it's just like an eye-opening, like, I must bring my son with it, so that we can also say that he's coming to that side on the millennium, so that he can actually understand the money, and then how you can actually, the money is not to be spent, let them spend the interest, rather than get the money works for you.
Okay.
But actually I learned quite a bit. I really, you know, it was from zero, now I'm on like 80%, like, wow. That's where I am in the moment.
well, excellent. Well done. That's brilliant. Congratulations. I love that. Remember we started with the person on the bicycle?
Yes.
And I don't want to confuse people, but ultimately I'd like to take you off the bicycle and put you on the fast train or the rocket ship or whatever you want to call it.
I'm climbing that rocket ship.
Just with your friends, just a thought for everyone.
Yes.
Don't worry about trying to bring them to the challenge and everything, because from Judy's perspective, like to try to get someone to do a 5-day challenge or a 2-day challenge is like too much time and effort for them.
Yes.
Get them to come do the passive income challenge.
Okay, yes.
It's 4 simple steps and they'll earn a passive income by Christmas.
Okay.
Does that make sense? You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like our logic internally is like that's the easiest, fastest way to get someone a result.
Yes.
Once we got them a result, then they'll want to know more.
Yes.
Does that make sense? You know, and so just our attitude internally, and not just ours, to the conversation with everyone. Focus there, but there. Literally, even if you don't know what you're doing, just come do the 4 simple steps.
Yes.
And then when they get the result, then they'll be, oh wow, like how did you do this? and then we'll fix it. You know, then we'll kind of solve that problem. Okay, I noticed you got smart and went to the clever corner up there. You like looked around the room and went, right, where's the clever person in the room? I'm going to sit with him. So and you got to that, so you're like, you nailed it twice. So. What's your feedback from yesterday?
Yeah, a couple of things, because I think at the end of the day, so stepping into this, there's a couple of paradigm shifts. I think starting off yesterday morning, the question was kind of why you're here, and kind of my interpretation is, how would one show up differently? So I'm in corporate, so typically we show up in a particular way. That's the paradigm. And if we have a bit forward diversification of income in a way, will we show up or will I show up? Let's not make it a we. Well, I shot differently, and the answer is yes. I think there's a context of a bit more bravery and being slightly more audacious with one's own goals. So I think that's the first thing, is it's kind of, what's the paradigm shift in this around our own behavior and the way we show up in the world versus really unearthing and leveraging your talents to the full extent. And I think in that context is the way you think about financial as well. Because you're slightly more risk averse, you show up in a different way, but you show up with a slightly more broad perspective of life and what the kind of different options that are available, you start looking at life differently. So I think there are a couple of things shifting in a way that how there's a number of things of opportunities that can be open. So I think that for me was one of the key things. The second one is pretty much about the concept of partnerships. And, let's draw the analogy of the family office. Because in many ways, we're trying to assemble our own resources around us, but it's like my expertise, and I use the context of conversation yesterday, I'll assemble my plumber, or I'll assemble my electrician, or I'll assemble my lawyer, or I'll assemble, but versus thinking through this as an ecosystem that is well supported through partnerships with expertise, that lessons can be learned and mistakes can be avoided. Okay? But you're really leveraging a lot more effective through these partnerships. So I think that's the second thing, is how do we leverage a bit more the partnerships to the extent that they can share. The third one is about where we're playing in the value chain. And I think many often, I play kind of the bottom of the value chain as a consumer, versus thinking through how do you up your participation high up in the value chain of conversations and opportunities, so that, where do you want to go ultimately in those opportunities? So are you seeing them in the context of their possibilities, or are you merely just a consumer? So that was the third one for me that really stood out. And then it's about picking up, taking action. So I think in the context and the concepts that have been presented, it's good to listen, and it's really mind stimulating. But that's only one part. The second is taking the action, because that's important that you take this and apply it. And because I'll probably go slow. I'm not a all-in, throw everything, but start going somewhere so you can start shifting your paradigm in practice. And that's probably the next challenge, is shifting my paradigm that has shifted in the context of interpretation of what was presented yesterday, and moving into a practice, and then through that, find yourself in a reinforcing loop. If this starts reinforcing itself, that the paradigm shift in practice has created results, you start reinforcing that, you start doing more.
Yeah, brilliant, awesome.
Now we know why he's on the clever corner.
Exactly. You've been welcomed into the clever corner. Or graduated, I don't know what the right word is. So no, great feedback. I love what you said there about action, because today I'm going to use a bit of inspiration, motivation, and the stick. Because if we don't take action, everything is a waste of time. That was a conversation we finished off with last night. Does it make sense? You can do as many courses as you like, it's irrelevant. If we don't actually do something about it, we're not going to change nothing. So, anyone else? Yep.
So for me, what became so clear when I came yesterday and I started the course, because logging in, you just see people posting, but you don't really understand what is happening until you really get to see the capabilities that you're actually showcasing and giving us to say, these are the capabilities. If you want to have the roadmap to where you want to go, you see. And it started again with the question, why am I here? You see, what do I want, to achieve? Where do I see myself? And I really needed that clarity of the roadmap. Because I think I came to you yesterday, and we were talking about, my professor was saying that hope is not a strategy. And all of us, we always believe that, it's going to work out. No, that's even go there to plan. But he says that believing in yourself is, planning is, doing is. And for me, with what I got here, it was too much for yesterday. But I was so happy because my subconscious started working to say, hey, listen, this is the roadmap. These are the things that you need. So I just want to say thank you for these capabilities that you're giving us. That it's now putting them into practice now. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And thank you for the gratitude. I appreciate it a lot, but we've got a lot to go still. I might cock it up today. No, I'm joking. So, no, but excellent. I appreciate it. And as I said, there's lots to share still today. So, in terms of that. So, welcome. Anyone else? Yep.
For me, it was just to have clarity about, what to do and where to find information. My only investment up until now was like a tax-free savings, and it took like quite a while to get there to find it because nobody knew about compound interest. And that's what I found. But you get these and you want to do investments, but there's so much information, you don't know what to do with the information. You don't know where to go and find additional information to clarify this information. And I think this is what this course is doing. It's to just give clarity. It's like you have information, go and look for information there, combine this, do this, make a decision, and go from there.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else want to share? Yep.
I just wanted to say that I always thought investing was for other people, not me. And the most I sort of thought I could do was mom and pop invest property, like residential. And it didn't work. So, and this is the leverage part and partnerships and mentoring that's happening here is it's clarity and it's help.
Awesome, thank you. Just by the way, so this is something new that Alex taught me how to do. So I would normally be on a whiteboard here, which is kind of a waste of time because it can never be used again. Who would like a copy of all my notes?
Yeah.
A couple of cheat sheets. So I can literally PDF and share this. I'll put it on the group afterwards. Okay, if I forget, remind me. But yeah, it's pretty cool actually, because then all my pictures, the dabbler, everything, it's all here for you. So, and what I'm doing now is I'm taking people's insights and writing them down for you. Anything else? Abdul, I see I'm getting specific on their learnings basically for them.
I was going to comment on that. My son, let me put this in not as an ad. He is a computer scientist, he did his master's degree. And he invented in that study how to write on that whiteboard there. And it immediately gets to your laptop.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Well, we should talk. Well, I quite like my iPad. I quite like what Alex has done.
Invest in his
So
company.
he's on the owner.
Fair enough. Cool. Anything else that anyone else wants to share? So just to give you a little bit of context, all we were doing, you missed nothing. All we were doing was just asking everyone what their contexts were, if there were any thoughts or that you went home with, or was there equally any questions that you had. So yeah, you're welcome to share. We were just going around the room in terms of just getting different opinions. There was a question in the front here that I want to answer. And the question, I don't know if you want to ask it or if you want me to ask it for you.
Just to say, Scott, with the comments, I think we're all empowered, but for me, I just want to say all along, I thought I knew, but actually, I was blind, but now I see.
Oh, wow.
And when I looked at the strategy sheet, I said, wow, what's going on? And then I went on the platform, it was too much for me. I had to find a way to gather, systematically, because for me, I'm too structured. But I could see that you are also more flexible. But as I attended, because I attended Wealth Resource, I even attend your Zooms daily. And even now, it makes sense to me. It's a package that I'm able to follow step by step, because that's the structure that I like. And when I went into the classroom, went through all this strategy sheet and went on, then it started, that's when the bulb came on. And I just want to say thank you. There's still a lot to do.
And I think your approach that empowering ourselves, getting the knowledge, will actually make us enjoy our benefits.
Completely. You know, like, so my attitude is if you give me $100 and I give you back $200, yes, you'll be happy,
Yes.
but it actually won't change much because you'll be completely dependent on me as to whether you make any more money. But if I can help you make $100, I give you freely for the rest of your life. So I got goosebumps saying it.
Okay, and on the question, when you said 15 assets that are moving in tandem, for me I was a bit confused, moving in tandem, but on the other hand, 15, I didn't understand it.
So I'll answer it. It's the 15 assets not in tandem.
Yeah.
So in simple terms, assets that move in tandem. So the easiest way for me to describe it, because most of us understand this, is we might think we diversified if we've invested on the New York Stock Exchange, the London Stock Exchange, and the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. So a lot of people do that. They go on easy equities as an example. And by the way, I love easy equities. I'm not bad-mouthing easy equities. I'm just giving an example of what I'm talking about. And they invest through there, and they invest on the Joburg Stock Exchange, and they invest in a whole bunch of stocks on the Joburg Stock Exchange. Then they use the easy equities platform to invest in the New York Stock Exchange, and they invest, and they go, look, I've diversified. I've invested in South Africa, I've invested in America, and I've invested in different companies. But with all truth, okay, when something goes wrong, like an airplane flies into the Twin Towers, and the New York Stock Exchange goes down, how long does it take for the Johannesburg Stock Exchange to go down? It's like, it's almost instant. Does that make sense, you know? And so they are in tandem. Does that make sense? Like, so that's what it means. They're like tied together, basically, okay? And so what you don't want is 15 assets that are all tied together, because then you might think you've got 15 assets, but they don't. I'll give you another example. Medical buildings. So I've stood on stage, you can watch, I've done thousands of presentations saying how wonderful medical is. There must be hundreds of videos on YouTube that will document that. Because from 2010, when I first found out about medical, I was like, this is the best thing I'd ever heard of. I didn't see COVID coming. Neither did most people, but I too didn't see it coming, okay? Now what happened in COVID? My brother's an anaesthetist, so I know this from the background story. So in COVID, not just in South Africa, but all over the world, the only thing that hospitals were allowed to do was ICU. So all of the optional surgeries were stopped. So like if I need an elbow operation or a knee operation, none of them happened, okay? It's called discretionary, I think it's discretionary, I forget. But anyway, it's all the extra surgeries that, what are they called? Elective, that's the word I'm looking for, it's elective surgeries. Now the problem is we bought medical buildings all around the main hospital. We never bought the hospital, we bought all the buildings around the main hospital. So it's all the people that service the hospital, the radiologists, the cardiologists, the physios, it's all the people, the surgeons, the anaesthetists, everyone. So they all support the main hospital, okay? Now, in COVID, again, ICU was taking place, but nothing else was taking place. So actually, my very tenants that I just told you yesterday would never lose their income, did lose their income for the best part of the year, 18 months, okay? And so what happened was, medical as an asset actually took a lot of strain for about 18 months, okay? Now, you could own medical buildings, you could own 10 different medical buildings. I've got a friend of mine that owns 9 different medical not even just buildings, portfolios of buildings, but with one company in America and in one asset class, medical. And obviously when COVID happened, they all went down. So now, although he thinks he's diversified and he's got 9 different investments, he doesn't, because all 9 went down. Not one of the 9 investments paid a dividend. And that's what I mean by being tied together. Does that make sense? You know, whereas if you were in multifamily as an example, even though there was medical, people still needed somewhere to live, so they still paid a rent. So you might not be being paid on your medical, but you're being paid on your multifamily. I'm just giving you an example. So that's the breakdown, where you don't want stuff that's linked together. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Where's Alex gone? Okay, well, that's interesting, because it's that moment where I want to invite my partners up here. So, is there anything else from anyone else? Any other questions, any other comments? Yes?
Yeah, I think for me, it's, I think everyone in this room should be proud that they actually started.
Yep.
Because, I mean, I started a long time ago, but I've got stuff that's so fragmented. So, and I think when I chatted to Scott about this, I just need to align and make sure that everything I have is actually returns. Because, I mean, obviously, property doesn't return to a long time if you just got it as a normal rental. So, yeah, so I think that's really the important thing is that you know you've got stuff, just if it's something that's not making your return, get rid of it and move on. Yeah, don't just hang on to stuff because you've already invested money. Just cut your losses and start moving your life from there. That was my takeaway literally from all of it.
It's so interesting you just said that. Because, I've had the privilege, I told you yesterday, of literally the proverbial rich uncle, poor dad. I mean, that's literally my story. So I've had the privilege of learning from my uncle. And I'll never forget years ago, so we started investing in the stock market with my uncle. It was one of those stories where, whatever I did, he matched and whatever. And we were in gold. And on the Friday afternoon, we sold our gold. Okay, and on Monday, gold crashed. Like, I'm not joking, okay? So I phoned my uncle and I said, how the hell did you know this? Like when you have like some special magic crystal ball or something? He said, no, Scott, whenever there's the profit, I take it off the table. Okay, so like at 85%, I don't wait for the top of the market, I take it off the table and I make a profit. So he didn't actually know it was going to crash on Monday, he just thought it was getting to overvalued, why not take a profit? The other side to that story is he says, if something's sinking, like the Titanic, let go. Just cut your losses, take the capital you got and reinvest it and go invest somewhere else, making a better return. A good example of that was the gentleman that I showed you yesterday that had the 6 properties in England. So he'd owned those properties since 2007. 3 of them were cash flow negative. And when interest rates were very low, because in England, remember, we've had like 10 years where interest rates were ridiculously low. The problem in that situation is no one makes any decisions because it's not really hurting you. So the property wasn't going up, it wasn't going down. In fact, I don't remember the exact numbers, but let's say he bought them for £120,000. They were now worth £60,000 because he bought them from developers before the GFC in 2007, 2008, and then the market went down and they've never recovered. But in his mind, it was okay because the rent was paying and whatever. But then interest rates went up and suddenly it was costing him £1,000 a month. And he didn't have £1,000 a month, and so now it was hurting his back pocket. And I said to him, dude, you can sell these 3 properties, you can take the equity out of this one property, you can pay off the negative equity in these 3 properties, and you can change your cash flow return by 2, you'll go from negative 1,000 to positive 2,000. Now the question I've got for you, I don't know the answer, you need to answer the answer for yourself. You've got 2 questions to ask yourself. One is, do you think your properties are going to recover in the next 10 years, yes or no? And the second question is, if you took that £2,000 a month, which is roughly £25,000 a year, and you invested that in, let's just say, an American industrial building, that you know today is getting you 8% positive cash flow income, so not negative income, positive income, and you know that there's a good chance it's going to get capital growth, are you going to be better off or worse than if you keep the UK properties? And I know, like, when I say it like that, it's so black and white, but this guy sat on that decision since like 2007 until he joined the mastermind, and then we literally went through the numbers with each other, and that's one of the powers of coaching, because you just kind of pull yourself and you say, look, they're like, you make the decision, but here it is on a piece of paper. And for him it was like, but this is a no-brainer. I was like, I know. And that's what I'm reinforcing what you're saying in terms of cutting your losses, because he didn't want to sell the property because he thought he was going to lose money. But what you've just rightly and very eloquently said is, if you don't sell the property, you're going to keep losing money. And so what you said specifically there was cut your losses and put it into something that's going to make you money.
Yeah, I think it's all about the mindset. Once you've made that decision to move ahead, then you just need to take the action and do it. And I think that's where the coaching and the accountability part is coming to remind you, do what you said you did.
Yep. Just a story there, because we are in Joburg in Pretoria, and this is where you guys are going to hate me. I had a guy in Northcliffe who told me his house used to be worth 10 million rand, and he had an offer for 7.5, and he was definitely not going to sell at 7.5 because he thought it was going to recover. I was like, dude, I hope we're not talking in 2 years, it'll be 5. We talk to people all the time, and I don't want to be horrible, but if you look at pure supply and demand and where things are going and what's happening, I talk to people all the time that have built portfolios of 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 million rands worth of residential property in Joburg and Pretoria, and they're like, oh, I got all this asset value, but I can't sell it. So I phoned Garth and I said, Garth, what would you do if you were in this situation? He said, I would start selling it even if I took a 20% discount, the exact same principle, if I could take the capital and deploy it elsewhere to get a better return, then that's what I would do. And it's amazing, like just take the emotion out of it, put it on a spreadsheet and see what the result is. Hard lesson for some people, I get it when you've built a portfolio for 20, 30, 40 years and now the market doesn't want it. But, you know, as people living in the Western Cape, we invite you anytime you want. Anyway, anything else? Yep, Judy.
No, so I'll just add to that, because I mean, what really helped me with that, with about these investment properties that I had that weren't making me money, was to, I think, was to have a look at it and have a look at, you know, the losses that I was making by subsidizing them, versus if I was putting that same money into an investment and forecasting both of them like 5 years ahead, where I would be. And I mean, it just becomes a no-brainer when you look at it by the numbers.
And Australia taught me that. And I love to give credit where it's due. He taught me to do that. Put the numbers in, take the emotion off the table, scenario 1, scenario 2. What are you thinking? What he said to me, which I love, take the averages 10 years back and then forecast forward 5 years. If the average for 10 years has been X, the chances of it continuing for another 5 years are probably quite strong. And then, as Judy said, where do you end up? Take the emotion off the table, and then it becomes quite a black and white type of conversation in terms of where we're at. So,
Yeah, but you're not looking at what you're losing out on by hanging on. So as soon as you add that, it then just becomes really obvious.
well, that's why that gentleman, do you remember yesterday I showed you the gentleman that had $12,000 and he was getting 7% in Allen Gray. And I showed him, I said, look, if you join the mastermind as an example, I said, if you were getting access to Calio and ourselves and you were getting 14, what would it mean to you on 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, and 30 years? Do you remember that PowerPoint that I had for you? 1 year didn't make any difference. At 5 years, he was now making, on his $12,000, after costs, like after, in real today's money, so not inflation and stuff, like taking back time value money today, that $12,000, it was equaling 10,900 or something. It was literally 11,000. It was literally nearly 100%. It was 180% difference. You know, after 5 years, it was like $50,000. And after 10 years, 30, it just became big numbers, you know. And that's where people often like, oh, it's, to Judy's point, oh, it's not important. Oh, okay, cool. And do the maths and like see how important it actually is, you know, in terms of the process. Okay, let me just see quickly online if there was anything that I wanted to see. I'd love to rather be in the Western Cape. Just for Elaine, my big belief, and I'm sorry if I'm being very direct here, but I fundamentally believe where there's a will, there's a way. So for Elaine, I'll tell a story. I am a Durban boy, studied at UCT, went to London for 9 years. Everyone told me if you want to make your fortune, you need to stay in London. The weather nearly killed me. I was there for 9 years. I got to 30, I was like, I'm done. I'm not living in this place. I'm finished. I went back to South Africa. All the people in London was, if you go to South Africa, you'll go bankrupt. But I did go to Joburg because that's where all the money is. I got to Joburg, I was like blown away by how much money there was. You can make much more money in Joburg than you could in London, categorically, okay? Yes. But then I was living in Joburg and I was like, I'm a Durban boy, remember that part? Beach. I was like, and then I read a book called The 4-Hour Work Week, and it was literally like, you work your whole life to make enough money to retire to the beach. Why don't you just go live at the beach? I was like, that makes sense to me. I'm going to live at the beach. And so, yeah, long story short, I moved to Cape Town first, but then Knysna, and everyone said to me, you'll go bankrupt, you can't live in that place. I was like, okay, cool. And we did, and it actually caused us to go from strength to strength. Because every time you think it's an obstacle, it actually becomes an advantage. Let me explain to you why. When I lived in Joburg, if I had a client in Victoria, I would like say, hey, Mr. Client, or Mrs. Client, can I come and see you? Oh, I'm busy today. Okay, cool. Well, when are you available? I don't know, I'll be available next Tuesday. So you're kind of available when they were available. Now I fly up to Joburg. I'm available on Tuesday or Wednesday. Which booking do you want? And for all the other time I live on the boat at the beach. Seriously, I'm playing with your mind on purpose. Because you can, like, the will is the way. Like, you know what I mean? There's always a way. Like. Okay, let's do the panel. So I'd like to invite up my partners. And it's time to have a bit of fun. This is where we get the far more clever people in the room. to be part of it. So, or sharing, why have I done that? Hang on. So Shane, I'm going to need your help here if you don't mind. Oh wait, I need to stop. Yeah, okay, I see what I'm doing. So, Shane, I'm just going to need you to talk if you don't mind, if you need our help, because I'm not going to be able to see that. Oh, maybe I will be able to see the chats. What am I trying to do now? PowerPoint. Okay, so what I want to welcome up. So I want to welcome up Judy. I want to welcome up Derek, Abdul, and Alex. And look, we've even got 4 chairs ready for this. In terms of the process. So. Right, you guys go, I'll stand this. Okay, so let's just check what is everyone seeing, if you don't mind. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just bear with me, everyone in the room. So I'm going to do this so that people online can see us, but so that, oh, that actually works. Okay, so let's just go back some. Okay, Shane, so just to confirm, I'm going to have the PowerPoint behind me, so I won't be able to read the chat screen, so you're going to have to help me with interaction on the chat screen. Is that cool?
Yep, that's good.
Awesome, thanks, dude. Okay, so this is a dream come true that we've been working on personally for 10 years. So for any of you that think that anything happens overnight, it doesn't. But I am really excited to share with you. So what we wanted to do was twofold. One was to create an environment where you guys could learn from them, but equally an environment to interact. And if you're online, just please type in the chat box and Shane will facilitate and help in terms of that process. We can't see you, or I can't see you in terms of that process. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to go in alphabetical order. As it turns out, it looks like it's age order as well. But
So you must use.
So Abdul, let's start with yourself. And I think before we kind of get into the different areas we're wanting to focus on, I'd like to kind of take away from what we just went through, which was the feedback from yesterday. And I'd love you to give a little bit more context to how one takes complex ideas and makes them simple so you can turn them into action. So pretty much what you tried to emphasize upon me in terms of taking all the noise and making it simple for people so that we can give everyone here guidance to take all of this information but actually be able to process it.
Okay, now I went home and I did some thinking with regard to the question of what is a home office? Okay, now we all, on a yearly basis, go to a physician, okay, and we go for a health check. Now, Carrier could be a financial physician that gives us a financial fitness examination and maybe a certificate. And if there's corrections to be done, and this is what the latest talk was all about, how do you know? Because you're too close to your investment maybe. Okay, so you don't see its non-performance. Okay, or you have very little to compare that with. Okay, so just from a takeaway point of view for yesterday on the cardio issue, I think it's good to have a financial position. And that's really how I would capture it.
Awesome. Derek, I'd love to take a bit of context from what you said yesterday, and there's 2 stories I'd love you to share. The one is about this building, and the other one is how you've sat, let's say, playing at the institutional level, and how that bridge has been formed in your own head, and how not only has that become accessible for you, but how you are passionate about how other people can get access to that. Yeah.
All right, so Scott, so about the building first then. This building was built by the Maze Trust. The shareholder of the building is the Maze Trust. Now, the Maze Trust is a trust that was formed When, after 1994, the control boards, we had a meat board and a milk board and a wheat board and a maize board and all that. The boards were, it was deregulated, the market was deregulated, we entered the free market environment, and the question came, what do we do with the assets of the maize board? So I'm a maize farmer, traditionally, and I was involved in organized agriculture, and there was this massive wrangling because as a farmer, we paid levies all the years. We paid levies. We paid a portion of our crop was paid into this maize board, and so we said those assets are ours, and government was saying those assets are ours. So there was this about 3 years we were going around the table about what do we do with this. The compromise was we put it in trust, and the beneficiary of that trust would be industry. Any registered party, affected party in the maize industry, and that goes right through from the farmer who grows the maize to the consumer who eats it. They are then beneficiaries. So the trust deed then stipulates how it can be distributed. That's a long story. So industry, again, the maize board assets were sold, so the building down in downtown Pretoria that was sold. So now the industry bodies, the SA Grain Laboratory, which is downstairs, and the Grain Information Service, they didn't have a place to go. So they had to rent buildings. So the maize board decided to invest some of the asset that they had and put it in put it in brick and mortar, put it up and build this building that we're sitting in today. And yeah, so I'm involved, and I lead a farmers organization called Grain SA. Grain SA is a lobby organization for it started out as maize producers originally. It was the National Maize Producers Organization. We had a conversation one day about duplication because we grow maize, we grow wheat, we grow sunflowers, and we pay fees to the different organizations. We put it together and we formed Grain SA. Currently I chair Grain SA's board, and they nominated me to serve as a trustee on the Maize Trust. And this is where the second part of the story then comes in. As a trustee of the Maize Trust, I'm a farm boy. Just a bit of context. I did a agricultural diploma. I was not interested in learning anything. I grew up on the farm. My dad, I'm fourth generation on the farm, and I had no interest in really learning anything. My dad taught me what I had to do. I did go to college. I got a diploma. I subsequently went and did degrees at university and so on. But the point being, I'm not the kind of person that you would see sitting in a boardroom making decisions on investments of more than R1 billion. It's just not in my mindset, it's not in my frame of reference. I found myself in that position. And I find myself sitting there and seeing, we took the original fund was 364 million rand. It was 1996 when this fund was established. Today it's 1.1 billion rand, despite having spent 6% of that capital every year. We have to disburse 6% of the value of this fund annually, and that's the kind of growth. So you're sitting and you're seeing Alan Gray. We're currently using three investment managers. It's Alan Gray, Coronation, and 91. And each of them have different mandates, and they're doing it. And you see the results. And you see, we are consistently beating inflation plus 6%. Consistently. So just think of it, 364 million rand has become 1.1 billion rand in that period of time, and we have spent 6% of the capital value every time. That's phenomenal results. So I'm saying to myself as a farmer, I need to do this. How do I do this? And you go to an Old Mutual or an Alan Gray off the shelf or a whoever, or 91, or Coronation, or any of those things as a retail investor, and there's nowhere in the world you get more than 6%. You get, 6.5%, and you think, I'm doing great. And there's just this, there's no bridge. There's no way of making it work. Come 2018, we have a bad crop year, and our business is struggling, like seriously struggling financially, and we start looking for solutions. And Karen is online, and she says, Ann Wilson. We see an advert for Ann Wilson, the wealth chef, And wealth now, I'm looking,
Just quickly, she's the one that we recommended where you got the video and the resources for module 2 yesterday.
Yeah.
I just want to join the dots for you.
So we start looking, so Karen and I joined one of her webinars, and was it a course, Carl? It was a process. And she takes us through the process of teaching us how, instead of going to an Allen Gray or whatever, and paying massive fees to an investment advisor, you do it yourself. You go on the platform and you buy, and then she says, go and look at that platform if you're in South Africa, or that one in London, or wherever the case may be, which we did. And we started buying our own ETFs and doing those things. Not a solution to our business and our immediate problem right there on the spot. Not having built the bridge that I'm looking for between what I know when I'm sitting in these boardrooms and what I'm wanting for my own farm business. That bridge hasn't been built yet. And one evening, I guess it was through Ann Wilson that you joined the Wealth University, yeah?
I just listened to Scott a few times, and then the one evening I said to you, I'm going to listen to this guy, his name is Scott, do you want to come and listen?
Yeah.
So it's thanks to me.
We always find the brains in any relationships, the lady behind it. So.
That's the truth. But where were we at? We had just bought my dad had passed away a year or two prior, and I decided to take the little bit that he left me and not put it into the farm, because the farm was going to swallow it up immediately, And I was not going to put it into the farm, so we did exactly what you say we shouldn't do. We did a mom and pop. All right, so we went and bought in Potchefstroom. We did do a bit of work on cities, We didn't go Joburg or Pretoria or anywhere. We went. Potchefstroom has got a good growth curve and stuff like that. So we went and bought a house, basically off plan. They were busy building in a complex, security complex, all the right things supposedly. We bought this house, and so this is where we were at. Total novice investors, and so this was the first investment property we bought. We had bought a property from my dad previously, a house down on the south coast, which we'd rented out. It wasn't a fantastic story, but my dad had done exceptionally well doing exactly that. He left the farm. Retired and went down there. He had 7 or 8 properties down there that he let out for holiday, and he did exceptionally well with it. But he was in a good, he did it in a good spot. By the time you want to liquidate that, then it's not good anymore. So that's those cycles. Point being, what I heard you saying that night, and I think I told you that on our first discussion. There was a whole lot of stuff that resonated that I understand. Okay, Scott says this, and this is what you want to achieve, and you must look at your investment. And I thought to myself, I've got to really unpack this thing properly. And that's when I absolutely was convinced from what you said on the webinar that I probably would not be for me. Because you said, you're very specific about who you want to work with, So again, it was one of those things. I'm not going to be able to work with Scott because I don't have enough money. It was just you know, it was just there. And you said, you know, I want to work with people that have money to invest. Now, I didn't have any money to invest anymore because I'd already bought the house. You know, so I thought on our one-on-one it's going to be a fun conversation, and then that's going to be the end of it. You know, it'll be one of the steps in my journey to finding that bridge. Long story short, I ended up, and this is probably a lesson in don't ever think you don't have the money to do it, because I didn't. I didn't have the money to join the mastermind. I most certainly did not. But I found it somewhere, you know, and I joined the mastermind, and then the process starts. So you start finding, you start gaining all this information, and I'm actually surprised you haven't used the term in the last 2 days yet. It's like drinking from a fire hose. It is literally like drinking from a fire hose. All right. So there was this, and then Calio and what. Okay, and I didn't even begin to understand what Calio was. So I knew, okay, I must set up the meeting with Calio, which we then did, online meeting, and Garth was there and he's chatting and what. And this is where Karen will share with you. I think she was almost in tears the day that we were sitting. We're sitting in my office, and Garth's on the screen there, Karen's sitting at her desk there, and we talk. I said that, you know, the farm, we had just changed the structure in the farm business to where the land is held in trust. There's an operating company, and Garth says, no, we'll just take that trust and move it overseas. My word, now that's all our land is held in, and you're just going to take this trust and move it overseas? No ways. It's never going to happen, you know. And Karen says to me, there's no ways this is going to happen. There's what, you know, pull the plug here completely. And yeah, so I kind of divorced myself from the idea of using Calio at all. All right. Then in the conversations comes up, Calio's got they've got a agricultural fund or whatever. No, if you say agriculture, my ears go ding. Right? So I find out, okay, what's the story about an agricultural fund that you got? What, you know, is there something I can tap into? Again, you know, I'm looking for solutions in my business. And I get a phone call from Calio from Manuel, and he says to me, he said, Derek, can we have a chat? So we have a chat, and the next phone call I get is, Derek, we want to invite you to serve on the board of the NALA Fund. Wow. From our, you know, this is from our conversation and my experience and my background. So that's cool. So I hopped in the car and I went up for the meeting, the first meeting of the fund, and I arrived about an hour early. I was really early. I had other business to do, but I was completely early. And I went to find the Calio office so that I knew where to go to, and then I was going to go and have breakfast. So I said, is this Calio office? Courtney says, yeah. Okay, there you go. I said, oh, fine, I'm way early. I'm going to go and get some breakfast. No, there's no breakfast. Come and sit down. And I'm sitting, and have you met Anthony? Have you met her? I've met Anthony online. I've seen and listened. And I sit and we strike up a chat. Anthony and I start chatting, and I start pulling this whole thing apart. And suddenly, and that's where my it's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. This is what I've been looking for. This is the kind of service that I've been looking for. And as a member of the mastermind, I couldn't believe this is accessible to me. I can actually get the advice from these people. And I went back and I said to Karen, okay, what we need to do is we need to put everything on the table. So we list everything for Anthony, all the ETFs we have in the building and the farm and the structure and everything. We send it to Anthony, and he does an analysis, and it is exactly what I've been looking for years. Wow. So this is the bridge that I'm talking about. The access to the understanding, because when I'm sitting in the Maize Trust boardroom, we'll get in a plane and we'll go to Alan Gray's office and they treat you like kings because you're the client and they,
And you got 1.2 billion.
and you're just at a different level. But if you're a normal retail investor, you don't even get any of this. You see. So here's the bridge that's being built. I don't have the results, I don't have the fund, I don't have all that, but I have access to the knowledge, I know how to make it work. I know how to start with a little bit, with $50, literally with $50, and start building it.
Yeah, that was awesome. Dude. It's interesting actually, you know, like we didn't plan this, by the way. I find it weird how the universe works. So what are the three major blockages I said to you? I said I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the time, and I don't have the money. Okay, like think about it logically.
Don't even talk about time.
Yeah. Well, like this is the point, you know. And I mean, Derek actually before I even moved to Judy, Derek's our funniest mastermind member because whenever we do masterminds, we're on Zoom and he's either in the car or on the tractor or literally we'll be doing it. He's like plowing the field. Like, I'm not joking. Like, it's always entertaining between Derek and Archie. Archie's always traveling the world somewhere. She's a bit like you. She's doing like 7 courses all at the same time. And every single mastermind is like, which country and course are you on now? And for Derek, it's always, where are you? Like in terms of the field. So let's go to let's actually go to that other constraint that holds a lot of people back, Judy. And you know what I've always been fascinated with your story is, you know, at one point you were a single mom, you started your own business. I've heard a lot of that in the room. You know, one of the things that's really resonated, Jeanette, from the lunch that we had was, you know, it's empowered women where there might have been a divorce, there might have been a death, but it's basically ladies standing up and taking control of their lives. In simple terms, that's what I hear, okay? And yet a lot of people have an excuse. I don't have the time, I'm going to look after the kids or, you know, whatever it is basically. And I'd love you to share your experience around your learnings in that space where it's, yep, you still look after the kids, but necessity breeds, what did you say? Necessity breeds innovation, or what did you say exactly?
What?
Necessity is the mother of all invention.
Yeah,
Sorry,
necessity is the mother of invention.
And I love just listening to your story earlier. It's, you know, and I think there's a lot of lessons and value people could get from that in terms of your experience with that. You know.
Yeah. So, well, absolutely. I mean, when you find yourself in a spot and you actually just have to make things work, that's what you do. You've got to survive. Your kids have got to survive, and from there you go and you grow and you build. And it's a really it's busy, you know. And I know don't have the time. It's just typical. And I go from business owner, female. You've got the load, you know, you've got the aging parents, you've got the kids, you've got all of that stuff going on. So the last thing we want to think about is what and how we're going to plan and work with our money, you know. And I mean, if you don't get off the busy wheel and take time, and it's not a lot of time, but take time and be intentional about looking at it and seeing what you have to do, then you start creating that next level or phase or a different space for income to start coming to you, so that you're not continually on that wheel. And I mean, I was telling Scott that you know, I came to a point 2 years ago, and I do this vision board. So I lay out like what, and it started when I was probably about 45. I started vision boarding, and I was like,
can I just interrupt you 2 seconds? Remember the triangle I told you all?
Yeah.
And the goal thing? Yeah. That's your vision board. Like, this is turning your vision into reality. Literally, this is real life. Like,
so, and for those of you who don't know what a vision board is, and I mean, you can do it digitally. I like to cut it out. I stick it onto cardboard. I've got to the stage where I actually frame it. And it lives outside my bathroom door. So it's a thing that I see first thing in the morning and last thing at night. And that is my intention for my life, because I want to live an intentional life. What does my life look like, you know, for the next 50 years? Because like I'm well in my 50s, I can expect to live to be at least 100.
For the record, just climbed to base camp of Everest with her husband, literally right now, like just done it basically, like, so I mean, like it's incredible. I mean, there's an example of vision board reality, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that was a goal I set 18 years ago, by the way. It just life was kids and other things going on, but you know, it stayed there. So creating an intentional life, like what does it look like? And I mean, I don't know, you know, if you're married, do you have that conversation with your partner? Like, okay, what is our life looking like 10 years from now? What is it that we want? Because I mean, in his head, he might be retiring on an island in Greece, and you might be living in Hoedspruit. You know, if you haven't had that conversation, you don't start, you know, creating what that looks like, what your future looks like. I've even got my kids vision boarding now. Like they are intentional about what their goals are and putting it out there. But I'd taken that vision board, and on the vision board, the top in the middle was the word investment and a big dollar sign. So I was looking, you know, so I was looking like how do I do that? I don't have to live small, and I don't have to live a typical South African life where we just don't look at like what can be bigger, what can be more, you know, what is there out there. So that's how I started on the journey. And I mean, sitting down with the Calio people, I had, excuse my language, I had no idea that shit existed, okay? It was just like, oh, that's how they do it, you know? So now suddenly the pennies are dropping. And if there's one thing that I've learned probably over the last 10 years is, you know, put yourself in the room, the partnering, put yourself in the room of who you want to be or who's going to take you to where you want to be. And I mean, that's here and that's now, and those dollar signs and the investment, and that is all. It's on the vision board still, but in a different shape and form. It's got a whole lot of knowledge behind it, because every year that changes. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So the first time I realised I was old, I'm not old, but it is a funny story. So, not actually, I'm young. No, but Alex and I have worked together for 7 years, and we were driving at an event similar to what we're doing now, and we were driving along. You know how the newspapers put their thing on the you know, the telephone pole or whatever, and it had something to do with Zuma. I forget what it was years ago, obviously. And it had something to do with Zuma, and it was a Sunday, and I said to Alex, we need to go and buy the Sunday Times. Like, I want to read whatever that article is. Like, we need to go to the garage and buy the Sunday Times. And while I was driving, he starts reading me the article, and I was like, shit, I'm getting old. Because it didn't occur to me that I could do it online. I thought I had to go to the garage to buy a newspaper, basically. And it was, you know, all of us have these moments where it's like, literally one of the first times I went, oh wow, okay, this is a bit different. So Alex, from your perspective, one of the things that most people, both in this room and online, will be thinking to themselves is, how do I empower my children? You know, what do we do about it? And one of the things we all know, whether we like it or not, is they don't listen to us. So they need to find other like-minded peers and everything else. And I've really got two questions for you. The first is, you've had the privilege of learning more by the age of 30 than most people have learned at the age of 50, with all due respect. So my first question is, what's that experience been like and how you've done it? But my second question is, what is your passion around the millennials, and specifically, how can we empower the next generation?
Yeah, I remember.
For the record, none of them have had pre-qualified questions. They're all on the spot, and I'm going with the flow.
Yeah, it's fine. So I remember that day very clearly. Yeah, I think it was something to do with like Zuma coming into power or something. Yeah, it's an interesting day. So I feel like a spoiled little brat, if I can be honest, because so many people experience the financial industry from a retail point of view. And so my background is I came from hospitality before I joined Wealth Migrate. So I was agnostic of all the financial products, all the returns and forecasts or anything. I didn't even know how to spell investment, to be honest. And when I joined Scott, it was let's just say Derek always speaks about, well, Scott and Derek always talks about this fire hose thing. It was like a bloody, I don't know, there's no metaphor. It was like 7 fire hoses for like 5 years, blowing at me day in and day out. So it was empowering actually, but I had to really dig deep and kick my heels in and actually, stand my ground and actually, learn from it. But the benefit that I got was I rubbed shoulders with the likes of Scott, Garth, our partners in America. We have partners everywhere in the world. And I sat in meetings day in and day out, and then I would use these big words like cap rates and, the interest rate needs to be capped in and, the primary market and secondary market. And I'll be like, shit, I have no idea what's going on here. And
investment.
yeah. I was just like, oh, cool, guys, yeah, no, lucky, And then, like 5 meetings, or even on the meeting, I'd be like, Investopedia, oh, yeah, cool. And it was a fun experience, but in that trenches, while you're in the trenches, it was extremely difficult. I won't lie, it was extremely difficult. But what the benefit is I went from 0 to 1,000 in like literally no time at all. And I didn't have any of the noise that the financial industry kind of pumps into you. So I feel
so you're not a clever CA, CFA that know everything. No disrespect to the CAs in the room, but most 25-year-old CAs know everything, so we can't help them.
Yeah. I think my point that I'm trying to make is that I never went through the retail, sophisticated, and high net worth. I just went all the way to the top immediately. I got exposure to this. And where it landed for me personally was when I sat in a meeting with very distinguished CEOs, CFOs of very successful companies. To give you an idea, it's a group of pilots, basically. So they have 2 or 3 planes of their own. And I sat in that meeting, and we were talking about business and like what strategies you have and all of these things. And this was the very first time that I saw a financial advisor pitching stocks and bonds and returns to these really successful people. And man, like they were telling me all of these. Anyway, I'm not going to go into detail, but it was like what? That's total shit. Like it's South African based. It's this, it's that. And it's like no, but why? What? So I kept on asking like quite intense questions. And I could hear this guy was getting irritated with me because it was like, shut up, dude. It's like you're supposed to not grill me so hard. So anyway, so that was like the very first time that I kind of experienced like what that meant to me, So to come back to your question, like how's it been? What's been the experience? It's been a whirlwind, but I've now fallen in love completely with what we do, and now I'm actually wanting to go into the CFAs, the CAs, and all of that stuff to basically understand the methodologies and stuff and actually bring it back. Because what we are basically is disrupting the market. We're disruptors. We work with communities and we want to empower communities, women in wealth, business owners, farmers, millennials. There is no limit like what we could possibly do. Our platform can do, well, can I say billions? No, probably thousands of platforms out there. So that's what I'm really passionate about, and it stems all the way. Credit to you, Scott. I grabbed onto the coattails and just kind of survived. Sometimes I one hand slipped off and I was holding on to the pinky, but I just grabbed onto it again. So it's been fun, and that kind of pivots to the next question. Why am I so passionate about millennials, and why am I so passionate about sharing what I've learned? Is because it's actually irresponsible of me and selfish of me not to want to go speak to people my age about these things. You know, well, let's do an average age in the room. It's
No, we're not doing that. See, now I've been trying to help him to grow up, and this is that moment like, no, dude.
Let me finish. It's unfair because, you know, it should be like there should be 20 of me here as well. I'm so underrepresented in this room. And why is that? Because I'll tell you why. Because they don't care. They don't even think about it. It's like it's like, you know, it's not a. Yeah, probably from last night. You know, but that's the problem, and we need to. So my objective is to make what we do here at this level relevant to the people at my age, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I don't know if that's landing, but it's almost like you need to articulate it in a way that actually is you know, because for many of us in the room, the objectives is, you know, I've worked hard for my money. My money now has to work hard for me. I have to make sure my money is protected. I need to take care of the generations. It's, you know, the next generations, and to make sure that, you know, my wealth is protected. For my age, it's, hey, it's time to build some wealth. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yes, that too. Not yet though. But
To be fair, the part I didn't tell, and he has been listening, he said, I don't want to buy a house, but I do want to have assets overseas that are going to pay for my Porsche.
Yeah.
I was like, you passed the test. Seriously though, well done on clapping, because that's passing the test.
Yeah.
I don't care if you buy the house, but have the assets to buy the Porsche, just don't buy the Porsche.
Yeah. And look, I mean, I've listened to so many horror stories. I've sat in so many houses and so many living rooms and had tequilas and whiskeys and coffees and, you know, and having these conversations about like people that's invested in homes and lost money and, you know, lost businesses and it's so I'm not interested. I've heard all of the horror stories, so I'm just going to bypass that and just do what's working right now. Sorry, I know I talk a lot. So I think, Scott, just to kind of finish, is that's what been the experience. It's been amazing, and I look forward to the next 20 years. And I think what we need to do in this room is get more people in the room actually activating and get the, you know, bring the daughters, bring the sons, bring them, and, you know, I don't know, cancel their credit cards and tell them that if you don't come, you're not getting your, you know, Netflix account or whatever, I don't know. Like, find a way to bring them in. But yeah, that's what I'm excited about.
I took my daughter to the first Wealth Weekend. Sadly, her university didn't allow for her to attend the second. But when I'd asked her, she'd said, yes, please. It was,
It is you know, it's a really important thing for us, particularly once you become a shareholder or a mastermind member. Like we've been inviting families to the weekends all along. Okay, I mean, there's an incredible story of one young lady that came. She was at school at the time. She was like 15, and she learned about exponential technology. She would never have learned about it in South Africa other than through us. And from that, she went and studied it. And when she got out of varsity, this whole thing, you can't get a job, rubbish. She got hen-toted by Deloitte and works directly for the CEO of the exponential technology division of Deloitte. She's number 2 behind that person. She literally straight out of varsity. That all started from a weekend on a farm here outside here somewhere in Pretoria. Pretty cool, though. And I'm just like, if you don't expose people to it, they will never know. Like, doesn't make sense. So I want to pivot to Abdul here. And for me, like one of the things that I'm most excited about is when someone gets to live their purpose and their passion. And, you know, for me, Abdul, one of the conversations that I enjoyed most, I can remember it like it was yesterday, because I was sitting in Atlanta at the time and you and I had a conversation. And Abdul and I have known each other for at least a year or more. But we hadn't had this conversation. And I'd love you to tell your story about the work you've done with SMEs, small to medium enterprise businesses, entrepreneurs in general, some of the challenges business owners have in general, because they're looking after, you know, their business, but they're, you know, not investing, etc. And we hadn't even had this conversation. We hadn't even thought about this. But when Abdul started to tell me the story and about his passion, I was like, dude, we've got to get you on the bus. Like, and I mean this with love and respect, because I was like, you've got so much wisdom to share. This is your passion, and we're looking for people that are passionate to help other people. Anyway, and I'd love you to kind of explain more around that conversation we had and why it was so important to you.
Yeah, I wish I could do the same conversation, Scott, but I will attempt. Obviously, as a business owner type class, your primary responsibility is the ship that you sail. Your focus is on the risks associated within that arena. Now, somehow that cancels other universes, and it is critical that obviously to survive this journey of your business, there's lots of pitfalls. But because you're an entrepreneur, there is nobody more optimistic than you. Okay, and somebody said hope and things like that. Yes, we must have that. Hope springs eternal in the human breast, and that is what drives us. However, we do need to get realistic. And that is what I found, as we have a product, we call it Business Admin Support Services. What that does, simple. You worry about your business, we worry about compliance with, all things that government requires you to do, etc., etc. Because you didn't learn that, really. So let us do that for you. Now, similarly, okay, when it comes to if your business doesn't survive, what happens to you? And many business people, they say, well, forget about it, I'll just go into another thing. But it's not as simple as that, because it is real. Business, you must remember, you couch the opportunity, you see the opportunity, and you try and access that opportunity. And in very many instances, especially at the beginning stance, you try and do that on your own. And that's actually where you start failing. Because you're not accessing from others who's done it before you. You're trying to reinvent things. So, again, how do you hedge against failure in business? You must invest alongside. Okay? The other part that people normally don't do is from a succession point of view. We speak about private equity. The best private equity is your own business. Why? Because you're navigating it. So if you're investing in your own business, you will look after it. So that gives you pride, that gives you, the drive to do better. But even if you got that, you can still fail. So very many business people forget that they actually have to build something alongside the business, which is away from the business. And somebody asked a question, it must be not correlated. Meaning, if something happens to the business, nothing happens to this. So that's a good principle. So how does one do that? There's very many things, and I started talking to my clients about the university, the Wealth University. And just the concept is a wow. Because, we go to university for all types of things, but we never heard of this kind of university. And if you unpack it, it actually makes a lot of sense. In your business, it's an active exercise to create income. Your wish always is to create income in excess of what you need so that you can amalgamate wealth or get to wealth. Once you've got wealth, what's the biggest fear you've got? You can lose it. So what do you need? You need security. So obviously you then need to obviously understand that universe of investment. So hence you direct people to the Wealth University. And I think it's absolutely key that people do educate themselves in terms of how do you manage wealth. And I think I would seriously encourage, ourselves and those who's listening in and others to actually join that type of movement where you educate yourself in terms of how do I manage wealth. And if I can manage wealth, good. Doesn't that sort of motivate you to create more wealth? So it's also a spin in terms of growing your income base, growing your wealth, all of those kind of things. So I think it makes a lot of sense in terms of, getting the knowledge about investment. But let's get back to the business, and it has its own challenges. And what I've come across, especially with my program of business admin support services, where the offering was I do all the compliance stuff. But what I've come across is people in business, okay, come with blockages. Why? Because they're too close to their knitting. Okay, they can't see the next opportunity, or the opportunity is on the desk and they're missing. So they also need, those health checks in terms of the business, etc. And that's what we perform. So it's the same for investment. And I hope I coined that word. I call it, we must have a financial test or fitness test.
Step 5 of the mastermind is a financial health check. Literally, because I think we all know the doctor health checks. That's the same, exactly as you say, fitness check.
Now, fitness refers to training. If you don't train, you're not going to be fit. Okay? So, yes, we need to be trained, not just in our business, but also in our investment perspectives and understanding and the way we going to perform. So, from especially small business people, if you think, in the case of a big corporate, they've got all types of divisions supporting all types of things, and you can ask Jeanette over there in the case of upside. You only worry about what's in front of you, this. The others is in another silo, and I don't have to look at that. But in business, it's very exciting because you need to handle all things. And that actually makes you a better person. It makes you wholesome. Now, if you've developed a skill, and I'm confident to say this, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, you're actually better than 90% of other people, if not more. Why? Because you've actually honed an approach, you've actually got a semblance of what's my policy in this? How does one do that? Okay? So that drive, I think, is key. In business, like I said, there can be a failure. And the other part is, in terms of succession, okay? If anything happens to you, or in the business, what you fall back onto, and therefore you must invest. Therefore you must understand the arena of investment, and therefore you should join the Wealth University.
Yeah, no, brilliant. I'd like to ask you another question because I think it's really important. So one of the traps that people find themselves in, and I think we discussed it literally when we started this morning, was I'm in South Africa, I'm in England, I'm in America, it doesn't matter where you are, but it's in the country you're in. I was like, it's too hard to go overseas. And in your case, you've had a lot of success locally in South Africa. And one of the things that attracted you and I when we were talking, and what the bigger concept was diversification. I'd love you to kind of share with people the knowledge around kind of three things. Firstly, why did you want to diversify? I mean, you're successful in this country, there was no need to arguably diversify, but you wanted to. And secondly, you had the resources to be able to just get on an airplane and go and do it yourself. Why did you choose to partner? And I'd love to kind of run through that as an understanding for people, because it's critically important that people can learn from your lesson.
Okay, I think it is a life lesson that I've developed, and obviously a professional lesson. Don't do things you don't know how to do. It's simple. Okay? You want to go overseas? Go see the country. It's very nice. Go to their beaches, go to meet the people, do those kind of things. And if you pick up any other knowledge, great. But if you think you can just hop on a plane and, I mean, you said it yourself, go to London and buy, you know, a block of flats or whatever the case is, it's not going to happen. And I'm trained to think like that, and that's why I don't do it. But what appealed me about the offering of, I think at that stage you called yourself Wealth Migrate. Okay, that appealed to me. Why? Because all my wealth is localized. I've got no exposure elsewhere. If anything happens in this country, okay, what happens to my wealth? Okay? The other thing that I feared, and therefore it brought me to the diversification. Most of my wealth was in property. And let's say I have to leave this country, you can't pick up your property and put it in a plane. You've got to go. Okay? So how do you protect this? To hedge against that, obviously you needed to invest outside the country. And Wealth Migrate then gave me that type of sense. I attended, you know, the diversification course, wealth, the independent, or the, I don't know what you call it.
The wealth going global.
Wealth going global, there it is. And it made absolute sense. Okay? I even joined the master class for fun. Okay? And it paid off. Why? Because it gave me a different perspective to things. And I think that's key. I made a point earlier that if you're too close to your knitting, you don't see the picture. Step back. Or, you know, share it with somebody else and say, do you also see what I don't see? Okay? That type of stuff. And I think the other part of Wealth Migrate that I came across, you know, on those Zoom meetings, that there was a community out there. Okay? And one of the things I love, again, because of my practice, if I add value to any one individual, for me, that is a big joy. Not money, joy. And I said to Scott at the time, one of the comments I made, I will do it if it's fun. If it's not fun, forget it.
Like that.
Yeah.
And I think that is what you learn from, you know, the small business. The other thing is we also grew up in an era, and I like to say this because we all have experienced some semblance of this, where, you know, there was this move about BEE. And everybody was punch drunk with BEE. You need to do nothing, you're going to get it. Doesn't work. It doesn't work. What you need is an opportunity to be able to access it. Now that's what BEE is supposed to be doing. The rest you're supposed to do. And you found a lack. And that was an opportunity for me. Because with that lack, I become your coach. And I'll take you to the opportunity and will extract the values from it. That too gave me absolute satisfaction as a practicing, not auditor, but in this is a business advisor. And I'm so passionate about it. You can't keep me away from my office, even though others are running.
This is a man in his 70s, just for the record.
Yeah.
Which I always love when people say, oh, can you do this? I'm not too old. You know, I love it. I love your passion.
Yeah.
No, Abdul, I think, firstly, well done. Congratulations. It's fantastic. And I'd like to, if you haven't sort of figured it out, what we're really trying to do is build movements. Does that make sense? There's business owners, there's entrepreneurs, I'm looking at one, that resonate with some of their challenges they've got, etc. And you know, what we're trying to share is movements, but also deal with people guiding those movements that know the pains, know the issues, know I'm a business owner, I know what it's like to go to bed last night at 11, wake up at 3 and be ready for today. You know, people don't understand these things unless they've been there and done that. So that's what it means behind driving movements, to help people with their pains but providing solutions. Does that make sense? And then also doing things they've done themselves first, which I think is important, like in terms of that process, you know. So Derek, I'd love to kind of pivot to you. I need to find your slide. Which way is it? That way. And the question for you is, I got, again, 2 questions. So the first one is, you've already told the story and with Ann Wilson, etc., and you've told how, I love the bridge, because so many people, and Abdul actually said exactly the same thing when we were chatting. You know, Jill or Joyce are sitting here and they're in pain, and they can see that little island over there, which is the island of pleasure, and it's over here. Okay, and then Judy says the vision board. This is the island of pleasure, and most people don't know how to get from here to there. Okay, now specifically as farmers, one of the things that I've always loved from your perspective is that you've understood farmers' challenges, if that makes sense. And I'd like to just understand from your perspective, and I love what you just said earlier when the agri thing came up and you lifted your ear like that, you said you lift up. So the moment we started talking, you said, hey, listen, why don't we actually help other farmers with your experience? Talk to us a little bit about how you see that and what that means and why it's important for farmers to pay attention, basically.
So, Scott, yeah, it's a matter of, I was in a, if you looked at organized agriculture, if you looked at farming, if you looked at, and you looked at Derek Matthews, Silverton, we planted 1,300 hectares. It sounds a lot, it's not very much. And we're in the Dwang financially and everything. It's the most unlikely person that would be leading the grain farmers of South Africa, that would be sitting in a boardroom making decisions on investments. I'm not that person. Do you understand? I haven't achieved anything spectacular which earns me the status of the leader of the investment. What would you I wouldn't say expert, but in that space, I wouldn't be there. But that's my life. You understand? I live it, and I am that. So what it does is when I sit and I find a solution to a problem, I have to share that problem with other farmers because I know what it's like. I'm not that super successful farmer. I'm not that the mega farmers. One of the chaps that I actually invited to visit this work to attend this workshop is one of the mega farmers in South Africa. He has interests internationally, and I'm just not there. But my experience is so real that I cannot other than share it. I cannot other than equip myself in order to explain this solution that lies on the table for farmers, because I know in the grain business in South Africa at the moment, the margins are incredibly thin. So you have a crop loss, you're just in trouble. If we lose income if we have a loss year, it takes us 5 years to recover. 5 years, at least 5 years. If that loss is bigger, it can take you much longer than, and you don't have 5 good crop years in a row. It rains and it doesn't rain, and you're exposed to the weather. That volatility, that variability is incredible. So it's absolutely imperative that we find a different solution. Farmers are completely used to understand and know about diversification. And we often make jokes about it. Maize farmers, Americans call it corn or whatever. In South Africa, we grow a lot of white maize because we grist it for maize meal and millipap. That's what most of our people eat. And then we grow yellow maize, and a lot of farmers will joke and say, I'm diversified in my cropping business, I've got white maize and yellow maize.
Well, that is tied together.
We say that, they're obviously monocropping, they're focused, they know how to grow maize, and now I'm diversified, I've got white maize. Right, so then the next, and we understand diversification. Yeah, you have to, if you're a crop farmer, you have to have a livestock enterprise. Like for every hectare that I grow, I must have a cow. Because that cow is going to give me a calf every year. That calf is worth 12,000 rand. It costs me 12,000 rand a hectare to grow maize. So if I'm selling a calf every year, I'm done. I must be I'm diversified. Yeah, that works. The sum works.
Yeah,
you
that's very
understand?
cool.
It works. But if you've got 1,300 hectares, you've got 1,300 cows. Do you understand how much land you need to run the 1,300 cows? So now you've got 1,300 cows, and it doesn't rain, and there's no grazing for those cows. And you need to go and buy the food for them. Suddenly, the value of that calf is, well, everybody's selling cows, so the value of the calf is half. And from the half that's left over, you've now still got to grow your crop. Do you understand? It's still linked to the weather. You can diversify. All right, so let's go something completely different. I'm diversifying. I'm going to take an interest in a tire business or a tractor business. Great, and it goes fantastic. And then it doesn't rain. The farmers don't buy. The first thing they don't buy is tires. Or they don't buy tractors. Do you understand? If you diversify in agriculture, you are still linked to the weather. You are still linked to the weather. And that was the understanding that I came to, is I need to do something completely different. And that was sitting in these boardrooms, dealing with investments, locally and globally, and Regulation 28, and all these type of things, this investment language that I never spoke. And I'm saying, I see a solution here, and I have to be able to explain what I've seen to the other to farmers, and we must make it available to farmers. And we would have had farmers in the room if it hadn't been planting season.
No, you did warn me. You said November's not the time to be doing this. But to be fair, you also have a motto, which is get it done.
No.
And our logic was, let's get it launched and we can talk to them when the planting's over. You know what I mean? So that's why we're recording. I've got a second question for you, and it's not just for farmers. It is for farmers, but it's for everyone else as well. We played that little video yesterday, which I love, by the way. It's just your excitement is palatable. Yeah. What is it like, because we've spoken about this bridge, okay, so you're over here in pain, and you want to get to here, that's pleasure. And for me, one of the reasons why the passive income challenge is so important is that if you invest $10, and even if you make $1, you're not financially free. I want to be very clear. But the light bulbs come on that actually this is possible. Because up until then, it's this bridge, and you're looking at that island going, how the hell do I get across this big crevice or whatever, this dangerous thing with lots of sharks in it, and now it's how do I get to there? Just explain to people why actually getting that result is so important. Because you, as I said yesterday, are going to be the catalyst behind why we created the Passive Income Challenge, because of the excitement you showed on that mastermind.
Abdul's word, it's real. It's real. It suddenly becomes real. So the first webinar that I listened to, Scott's going on fire hose, drinking from a fire hose, the whole thing. And you made a statement there, I'll never forget it. That was what you made a statement. You said that you join the mastermind, and within 12 months you can be earning $5,000 a month. That's what attracted me. Okay, and I said, okay, if what have I got to lose by investigating whether I can actually make this happen? And like I said earlier, I didn't have the money to join the mastermind, and so I literally reprioritized things that were actually had to happen, and I said they can happen later, and I'll do this. And we embarked on the journey, and in all fairness, for the first 12 months it was a bit chaotic. It was, the platform, when we first started, the platform wasn't even up and running properly yet, and there were a whole lot of challenges, and that created a tremendous amount of doubt in my mind, whether this is actually even ever going to happen. But you persevere and you carry on. I was learning enough to keep me at it and to keep wanting to get it done. And yeah, I expressed my frustration one day and I said to you, Scott, we need to get it done now. We need to stop learning about these things, and my time is running out. I'm getting towards the end of my career, my time is running out. I very clearly see that unless I invest enough money, I don't have time. So I've got to put enough into it, and I've got to get it in now so that I can actually build the solution. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So that's where the get it done drive comes from. And then we got it done. And again, I didn't have money, but I could get $50 or $150. And I got it, and I took I think the first one that I did was a structured note, it's BVA or BVA.
Yeah.
It was a structured note because income, all right. So that was the first one I did. I did $50 there. I did the Hamilton building that was turned around.
Yeah.
And I did another one, I don't know, but there were three $50 investments that I did. So I just did it. And quarterly, it was supposed to be quarterly. So Hamilton, we were watching, and Hamilton it was canned, wasn't it?
Didn't go ahead, yeah.
Didn't go ahead. So then I realized, okay, first of all, you had to cross the bridge to get it set up. That's the main thing, and I think if we achieve nothing else in these 2 days, we must streamline the process that once somebody's interested, you can get them set up ASAP, get the wallet established, so that they have then it's up to them. Okay. So once the system is up and it's running and it's going, and I put that investment in, and then the focus suddenly changed for me. And I could start analyzing and looking at the deals that you were putting on the platform, and growth deals, income deals, and that sort of thing. And so my focus was different. And then it happened. I would go on the platform and I look, and the balance is just, my wallet's zero, my wallet's zero, my wallet's zero. And I stuck it on, expecting to see zero, and I see $6. Wow! Got $6 in my wallet. And a week later, $100.
What?
No, I had added
Two different investments, just to be clear. It doesn't compound.
Don't be misled.
Yeah, we're not that good, guys.
Investments, And that same excitement I experienced last week. On Saturday morning, I'm sitting helping my sister do a profile on the Wealth Migrate platform. And I log into mine quickly, and oh my word, there's another $6.
Wow.
So
It's a
it
lot of
works,
money.
it really. I'm trying to explain the reality.
Yeah.
It is real. So now I can go with confidence to my colleagues, my farmer friends, and tell them, if I had the Wealth Migrate platform 43 years ago when I started farming, and I just took $50 and I started growing those things, and I didn't take another cent out of my farm, and I just took that $50 and reinvested it, and I would be able to farm without the weather matting. And that's the right. So I have a different challenge in this point of my career. I've got to put a lot more into it to get to a point where I can actually be farming, because I absolutely love farming. Make no mistake, that is my passion. Where I can get to a point where I've got to do a lot more and a lot of things differently now to get to a point where I can farm, and because I love farming, not because I have to pay the bills.
I think you might have just decided your tagline there. Farm. What did you just say? Farm without worrying about the weather, or something like. Whatever I'm going to go back and listen to the recording, because whatever you said there, that's your tagline, dude. Because every farmer I know farms for passion, but farm without worrying about the weather.
Farming will have changed it to weatherproof farming.
Then nobody will believe you.
Nobody will believe you because there's no such thing as really people.
Awesome, Derek. That's a fantastic story. Thank you for sharing it. So, Judy, from your perspective, we embarked on it a little bit yesterday. And, this is a third movement that we're talking about and that we started in this whole women and wealth space. Jeanette wasn't here yesterday, so I'm going to repeat a little bit of what we said yesterday for Jeanette, because we had this wonderful lunch on Thursday. And it started with a lunch with 2 ladies and then drinks with another 5 ladies. So it exponentially grew within 2 hours. And we got the WhatsApp group going, and when I last checked, we'll just check now. By the way, Karen, Wellman and Bianca have joined as well.
Yeah, so
So
online.
No, I'm just saying they've joined the group.
Oh yeah.
But we're now sitting at 25 ladies. So in 4 days, we've gone from 2 to 5 to 25. Okay, and I'd love to just talk a little bit around the women involved. I don't want to, obviously we started yesterday, but in your space specifically, why is this something of a passion for you? And more importantly, why is it important for women to kind of pay attention in terms of their wealth and what they should be looking at, and how can this help them, if that makes sense?
So I'm gonna take it back to my own experience as a business owner. And I was out there in what was a very lonely space. So I'm there, I'm doing my thing, I'm going, and when you go alone, you don't know what you don't know, and I went out seeking to find something or someone who could help me move along, and I found an organization. It's called Women's Presidents Organization, that when I was a business owner I joined, and that completely changed the game for me, because now I was sitting in a room of like-minded people trying to do the same thing that I was trying to do. And first of all, you're able to leverage off other people's knowledge and experience, or just learn from the questions that they ask, because we all think differently. So, and we're all different people, and we all see the world differently. So when you can open up and have those discussions, you start really creating a community. If you can do it in a place of trust, you can take a whole lot of people along for the ride. And that's what appealed to me about the mastermind so much, because now, I'm now moving into this investment community, and again, it's the same space of people who can then just broaden that whole horizon for you. So when Scott, or I think it was actually Alex, he said you'd be perfect for women and wealth, I was like, this sounds like something that could really work for me. And I want to take that knowledge and experience, because what I do now is find things that give me purpose and fuel my passion. And my passion is for people, and I love working with people and helping people and moving them forward. So in creating this community, that's fully what the intention is how do we take as many people as possible along for the ride. And when you have a community of women, we know that women bring a whole lot of other people with it, and that is spread really far and wide. So that's the journey we're on, ladies.
Yeah.
I'd like to just talk, because you've been at both physical events, and one of the both wealth weekends is what I mean by physical events. And one of the challenges we've got in this world is living in this duality of online versus actually making the time to turn up. Just talk to us a little bit, not only for the women in the room, but for everyone else, the value that you see. Like, why do you make an effort to bring your daughter all the way down to Stellenbosch when technically you could get the stuff online? Or why do you make an effort to come all the way through to the next wealth weekend, when actually you were about to go and climb, the Everest, pretty much, or base camp of Everest? And I really think it's important, not only for the people in the room for future things, but also for people online, the value between being in the room versus watching online.
Yeah, I think the conversations just go deeper. It's easier to just quickly ask a question. like, I don't know, but for me, typing and maybe it's my age, I don't know, but you know, like two lots of typing and then I want to talk. You know, so if you're there in the room, and again, it's seeing the whole person. There's a whole person in front of you. It's the body language that goes with it. It's the feeling you get. It's the energy. I mean, you want to sit in a room of people that have energy, bring energy, and you know that energy creates energy. So nothing beats real connection. I think the humanness. As humans, that's what we need.
Awesome. No, thank you. Alex refers to me as the dancing monkey, by the way. So the logic is when I dance on stage, things happen. But actually with truth though, when people talk to me and they say, how do I log onto the platform? I'm like, I don't know. I did it 5 years ago and I can't remember. So why don't you rather talk to Alex? And to be fair, Alex is amazing at helping people set up KYC, not just him, we've got a team of people, but my point being is that talk to us a bit about the passive income challenge and RE, what Derek said specifically about getting someone to the result. And for, I mean, if we stand on stage here and we say we've never made a mistake in 20 years, we're either lying, cheating, or stealing, guaranteed. So what Derek's saying, I mean, Derek joined the mastermind. We started the mastermind in October 2022. Derek signed up in October 2022. There's benefits to being part of it in the beginning, and there's also learning lessons for us. And so we've taken a lot of these learnings and gone, okay, hang on, how do we solve this? How do we solve this? How do we solve this? Well, the single biggest problem that I literally in the last couple of weeks have been going, why the hell didn't we do this 10 years ago? The passive income challenge. Talk to us a little bit about, firstly, why you think it's important, but secondly, how, because I always talk too much, but you're quite specific, do this, do this, do this. How are you going to do it? Why, why is it important? And secondly, how does someone get involved?
Yeah, I think the reason is because I'm just tired of everyone just phoning me with the same question. It's like, how do I fund my wallet? Another question. No, make a joke. But I think so there's two ways that one needs to look at this. There's our education side of what we do, and it's all of the methodologies and the theories and our investment thesis and all these cool stuff that we do. It's all about, but it's not practical. It's not actually getting results, as Derek would say, getting it done. It's setting up for success. It's the architecture of your portfolio, understanding what investments you should invest in, why you should be investing. All those are mindsets that we talk about. And what we've done is we've done a lot of making sure people understand the importance of it, because we believe exactly what Abdul also said is making sure that you actually understand and you have financial literacy and you actually understand why it's important, make you question what is out there. And then, so that's the one spectrum on the right. And then there's a line, and on the left, there's our platform, there's the tool. It's a tool that it enables you to build a portfolio in alternative investments, i.e. structured notes, structured products, private equity, real estate, etc., etc., etc.
Property, for those who don't know what real estate is. I'm sorry, but just
property. But not mom and pop investing, commercial real estate globally. I'm not talking South Africa, I'm talking globally. So that is a tool. However, if I give you an iPad and you can't unlock the iPad, it's worth nothing. And then we go, gee, why aren't you using the iPad? You should be using the iPad. It's amazing. It's, you can go watch Netflix and everything. So what we've always, and in our defense, we have done a lot to empower people to be able to do this. But we've never built a systematic way of actually doing it. Now, we also, we learn as we go. So, as Apple, made mistakes with the first iPhone and they started becoming better and better and better, they stopped things that weren't working and they continued with stuff that was working. And it's exactly the same with us. We have now gotten to a point where we know challenges work. Factually, it's a fact. We know. We host a challenge, people join, they get the education, we give them the tools, and by the end of the challenge, they have results. It's 1 + 1 = 4. Literally, we have done it now a number of times. We've seen that. However, that was on the right side. Remember the theory. We haven't done it on the left-hand side. And I mean, this is not, as much as I would love to take the credit here, it's nothing to do with me. It's all to do with Shane. Because Shane is a systematic, and I hope he's listening. Shane is like, he looks at the data and he goes, you know, just to maybe pause the conversation and just go off highway and just quickly stop at a bus stop. Shane, every single meeting that we have with him, he goes, Alex, you know what? What does these people think about when they wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning? What's the problem that they have? And then he irritates me so much, and it's like, no, I just want this. Yeah, but is that really what they wake up in the middle of the night thinking about? And I go, probably not, but I want this. And then we go round and round and round and round. And so, I want this. But you know, but exactly, like, what was it, 4 weeks ago? I don't know, it's all a blur. We were up here in this amazing dry place that you guys call a city. By the way, I'm from the Western Cape. Everything outside of the Western Cape for us is Gauteng.
You lie actually from the Eastern Cape.
Well, my family recently moved to Cape Town, but anyway, I was born in Iceland. Anyway, so we were up here with our team and stuff, and Shane goes, you know, you guys are all getting it wrong. Like, just stop. We're wanting to systemize the mastermind, we want to do this, and we want to do that. Scott's amazing, like, Scott's well known for running after the new shiny object. Like, he's amazing at it. He's a disruptor, he's a rainmaker, but we sometimes have to, like, hold him back. Me as well. I'm also guilty of it. And Shane goes, what's the actual problem? And that's where that blue dot thing, maybe if you can just show it again. It was like, you know, people join, they're excited, they join us on the challenge, and then they go, and then 3 weeks later, we see them again on a challenge, and they get excited, and they say they're going to do something. They have a meeting with me, I go, fantastic, so what are you going to do? They're going to do this, this, and this, and I'm like, okay, fantastic. Are you going to do it? Yes, cool. 3 weeks later, we see them again on a challenge. I go, oh, I'm not even going to waste my time. It's like, good luck. You have to go do it yourself. And I unfortunately have probably maybe close to 1,000. I would know, maybe about 800 meetings like that over my career. And you know, it's like they never get to a point where it actually goes. So exactly, you know, so
No one's going to share it for everyone.
So that's the problem, you know. But let's just take the sleeping person and put them at a challenge. It goes very exciting, you know. Monday goes work, and it's How do you work with this thing?
You press the button.
I'm used to green screens, guys. I don't know what this is. Anyway, so just imagine you're like standing and you had a challenge, and then that's maybe Monday to Friday. Friday is like, yay, they have a meeting with Alex. They're gonna build the passive income, and then Monday comes and it's like, oh shit, it's too hard. I can't find my wallet. I don't know what's going on. And it goes, and they don't do anything again. And then the challenge comes again, and they have another call, and then they phone me. How do I find my wallet? I go, oh, I told you how. So, and this is all Shane. He said, okay, guys, leave everything, and let's just fix that. And that's what the passive income is all about. Is we're going to take you from not knowing anything to knowing, well, to getting your first distribution in your wallet in 30 days or less.
So $6 or $60,000 is not the point.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just it's about getting you actually getting started, and then it's a mindset, and then it's like literally, you know, I'll use an example. One of our favorite shareholders, she loves us. She comes on all of our events in the Garden Route, in the Cape Town area, and you know, it took me 2 years to get her verified on the platform. Because it was just like, no, it's just too difficult, and she's got grandkids, and she's got this, and you know, everything's sorted. And eventually now it's sorted. It's like every month now she goes $1,000 here, $2,000 here, $60,000 there. It's like, and she doesn't phone me. It's just that she funds her wallet. She will, when the investment is listed, she'll phone me and she's like, oh, thank you for the distribution. And I've done some, what did she call it? investment shopping. You know, like she goes to Woolworths, but now she's gone to platform and she's done the investment shopping. But I think the point that I'm trying to get across, or what I'm trying to articulate here, is that you've done the hard miles. You've got the wallet funded, you've got the beneficiary unloaded on whatever bank you're with. So and then if you send $100, then great. If you send $1,000, great. If you send, I don't know, $10, fantastic. It's the barrier to entry is nothing. You know what I mean? People always ask me like, what can they send? And there is no. So firstly, the wallet. Yeah, I'm not going to go into detail because that's for later. But like there's no resistance for that. You can just fund your wallet and invest into
So you will
deals.
show us how to fund wallets.
Yeah, if you ask really nicely.
You're talking about dollars, so how do we get rands into dollars?
So we literally, that's the
That's
whole
exactly.
idea of the
I was.
We have to use our credit card.
So I was awake. I was awake at like 4 a.m. going through all of this and trying to figure out a simple way. Because
Alex and Shane are very good at systems. So this is the whole thing, is that the challenge we've given them as from, let's call it the other team leaders, was, guys, we need this 30-day challenge.
Make it happen.
Make it happen. And then what I always do, which is what the team hates me, is it's launching on Monday, so work backwards.
Yeah.
No, because in business, the one thing I learned a long time ago, we'll be planning this for 6 months and we still won't have it
foreign
perfect.
invoice through your bank is like a freaking nightmare.
Yeah. Well, the banking industry is amazing.
My app, I could do an international payment. So I think it also depends on the type of bank account you've got.
Yeah.
But we
You don't do
will
it, so
solve
you
that.
don't look for it.
That's the whole idea, is we will solve that problem. So we will solve that problem for you.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, we've got people in 178 countries, including someone in Barbados. So we don't know every bank everywhere in the world, but banks tend to have the same principles. So we'll try
The
and help
methodology is
everyone.
similar.
So listen, I'm conscious of the fact it's nearly time for tea break. I'm sure the people up here are thinking, Scott, why didn't you give me water?
Yeah,
So actually, if you wouldn't mind, could someone just grab 4 waters? I'd really appreciate it. But I do want to kind of wrap up this session, and then we're going to go to a tea break. But before we wrap up, if there's anyone online, type it in the chat box. If there's anyone in the room, have you got any questions? I don't think, and I hope you appreciate the value of what is sitting here. Okay, and what I mean by that, all 3 of people left of Alex have all been highly successful. You haven't got any waters?
It's finished, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But even, yeah, just,
No, it's fine, it's fine.
We can share.
No, that's fine. We've done.
so, thanks you. If we can just get some more waters anyway, please, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, the shop. Yeah, I'll take care of it.
He's shocked. He's
He's the guy in the chair there.
So no, but on a very serious note, like all 3 of them in their personal capacity have done a huge amount in their careers, and they're all here on a voluntary basis. I just want to be very clear. So this is a unique opportunity. It's a huge value add to being in the room, and I'm not sure if we'll ever have all of us all in the room again. I'm not saying we won't, but who knows? It's the first time it's ever happened. It takes a lot for people to volunteer their time. Abdul's flown all the way from Cape Town. I just want to respect what you're getting, if that makes sense. So it's not the last session, because we'll have more sessions later today. We specifically spoke last night about interacting. But I do have, are there any questions in the room? Like, is there anything that anyone wants to know, or anything that we can ask now while we're here? Yeah?
I have more comments.
Comment, yeah?
In terms of.
Sorry, just before you go there, because I didn't want to leave Alex out either. And this guy will be highly successful in his life, I guarantee it, because of his growth mindset. Yeah. Because most people don't, he said the fire hose thing, he's prepared to learn and listen and work bloody Sundays and Saturday nights to learn it. And so I didn't want to leave you out.
Thanks,
but the point being is that, sorry, back to you in terms of.
Yeah, my comment is actually for Alex.
Yeah.
So I think like the issue with youth is you get very few people like yourself, Alex, that actually want to do stuff. Because unfortunately the way our, I think, government policies and stuff are set up is that certain people feel they're entitled. Like the entire youth feels they're entitled to be given stuff.
Yeah.
They don't want to work for it, and that's the mindset that the government has been retrenching. I mean, you can get a grant of like $300 or something ridiculous. And people just rather do that than actually want to, get ahead. So the few people that show ambition and motivation are very successful. And the rest of them, there's only so much you can do to convince a person's mindset it's like nothing.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important that if you're able to do that for people your age, it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I've met a lot of like youngsters who are like, why should I even bother?
Yeah. I think.
Give me money,
Yeah. Yeah.
Round of
exactly.
applause for the waterman.
I think just to add to that comment, you know, and I'll be completely honest here, is one of the main reasons why I want to launch Millennials in Wealth is I'm tired of not having peers, because you know I'm sitting here and it's like you know I feel so honoured sitting on a panel with the likes of people, you know, such as yourselves that have had successful careers and exits, and you know. I mean, I've sat in Abdul's office a number of times, and he shared a lot of wisdom, you know. And it's been such a what's the right word? It's not enriching. Thank you, enriching. It's been such a lovely experience, but you have to have that mindset and that willingness to actually be in that space, and be willing to accept it and not think, you know, I'll admit this. I many times think I know everything because, you know, that's just who I am. But then I'm humbled every now and then. So
More often than not.
Well, that's debatable. But anyway, let's go with it. So, you know, that's one of the main reasons, and that's why I feel so passionate about, you know, the millennials, because for all of the mastermind members, they're all like, guys, my kids, please just like help me get this sorted for them, you know. And then I have multiple meetings where it's like, no, my kids are here or they're there, and there's this and there's that, you know. And then there's a whole other story about the 100-year life that we can touch on in future presentations. But it's like, it's just to touch the, you know, 5% of it. It's like the working life has completely changed over the last 50 years. You used to go to school, go to university, you know, work 30 years, retire, and then die. Now you know, you might go to school, you might take 3 years, a gap year, then you might study, then you will join a job, then you leave the job. So it's completely different these days. So there has to be, and the financial industry has to support that new way of work life and, you know, family life and so on and so forth. So yeah, appreciate the comment, but I would also put it back to everyone online, however many there is, and in the room, is like, we need to do something to change that mindset. I won't be able to do it alone. I'm going to really give it the beans. But yeah, it's going to take the community to get that going.
So, Alex, I read something about a week ago. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So if you put yourself in the room, like if I put myself in the room with the Alan Greys and on an institutional level, you understand?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. No, I agree.
So you need to do that.
Yeah.
Choose your people.
Yeah.
So just any questions? I just checked online, there's nothing online. Any questions from anyone in terms of everything you've heard? No, it makes sense?
Have we bored you guys to death?
No.
Okay, so I've got a gift for them before they leave.
Can we go
So this has been, I get this, and the team's been burrowing away in secret. So I'm going to share my screen here quickly. And so we've been basically working for the best part of 3 months now in terms of this process. And I'm super excited to share something with you. So there is, it's the landing page is, we obviously got a lot of work to do in terms of the landing page, but this was a video that Judy and I did. But we can now go to the landing page, womenandwealthinvest.com. We can go to browse investments. We can literally log in. Oh, geez, what's my password? Hang on 2 seconds. Thought I would remember my password. Anyway, let me just get my password.
Look away, guys.
Geez.
Phone Alex.
Isn't that moment of like, what the hell is actually my password?
Yeah, so can we
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, do that, sorry. That'd be great.
But I suggest you stop sharing before you type your password in.
No, that's fine, but yeah, fair enough. Good point. Well, I need to find my password. Why is it not remembering my password? Okay, let me do this another way.
You're doing what I've been asked.
No, I don't quite know why it's supposed to remember my password. Why is it not remembering my password? Yeah. Okay, hang on 2 seconds. Oh, don't worry about it. I'm just going to reset my password. You know, technology never ever stops to surprise you. I've done this like a million times, and now, like, it's when I go to the new platform, it's supposed to remember my password. Just give me 2 minutes, and if we don't get it, we can do it after the lunch break, after the tea thing. Okay, Judy, you're up. So just to show you here, this is me basically logging into the Women in Wealth platform. So,
can you share, please, Scott? Share screen.
Oh, sorry. Thanks, Shane. So, in simple terms, I'll take you through the platform and how it actually works after the tea break or after lunch. But what I wanted to show you is that where we're going to go is we will literally be able to go from, so we're going to build out this Women in Wealth, and we were talking about it at lunch the other day. We're going to have videos there, we're going to build out this whole landing page. But the exciting part is the infrastructures are all built now. So we'll not only have the community, but we've got the place for all of us to go from a Women in Wealth invest.com is the spot. but then actually we've got our own investment platform to invest in directly. So you can go into all of the deals and you can literally invest from $10. Okay? For Derek, same thing, Farmers and Wealth. I literally go to Browse Investments. I put in my password that I now remember. The best part is as well, internally, it's all through, it's using the same infrastructure. So you can see now that there we've got Farmers and Wealth live with all the color and the branding and everything.
I like that it's
for
a red
farmers.
tractor. That would be a red tractor.
Exactly. To be honest, this was practically your picture from yesterday. We were like, right, it's got to be a tractor basically. But there you are. For farmers, it'll be their specific platform, also from $10. And then for Abdul, exactly the same thing, business owners and wealth. And literally you can go to Browse Investments, and it's the same principle. You can literally log in.
Amazing.
And same thing. So business owners can go and have their own investment platform and everything. So what's truly exciting now is that the hard work's done. Now it's about the community and building the landing pages and getting the write-ups and the testimonials. That's the easy part. The investment platforms are done. So I just wanted to, Mersha's not online, but to her and her tech team, they have done night and day to get us live for today. So I just wanted to say to all three of you, this is now beyond a conversation. It's a real thing in terms of it. So I thought it was a nice way to finish going into tea break, just to really just share with all of you that it's all live now. We'll share obviously the domains, but just to be clear, for Women and Wealth, it's womenandwealthinvest.com. For Farmers and Wealth, it's farmersandwealth.com. And for business owners, it's businessownerswealth.com. So it's all set up, domain names are in place, everything's in place. And as Derek always said, and I think it's a wonderful way to go to tea, get it done.
Yes.
We set ourselves a target, all of us internally, to get it done by this weekend. Yeah. And I'm very grateful to the tech team for having got it done. So we're live, everyone. And with that, to all of you online.
Scott, I just want to kind of grasp this thing properly. Does that mean I almost want to say I have my own platform?
So let me use an analogy that I think everyone will understand. Derek, me and Alex have been over here selling Nando's, okay? Yeah. And you've gone, you know what? These farmers, they would really like some chicken. So today you just opened your own Nando's store, and you can walk to the front of your door and welcome all your clients into your own store, basically.
It's incredible. It really is. It's as wow a moment as when the first money fell in my
And it's the same opportunities on all platforms.
So what's really interesting is that as community leaders, they can actually decide that. Okay. So let's just say that Derek distinctly likes Trump, and I'm being facetious on purpose, and doesn't want to be involved in America. He could literally go, we have no American deals. The technology is built like that. I'm not saying they will, but they can. It's there. That's why I like the Nando's analogy, because everyone understands it anywhere in the world. It's their shop. They can choose what they want in their shop. If they don't, they can default to what's in the Wealth Migrate platform if they want, but ultimately it's their shop in terms of where they are. There can also be, in future, there might be women-only investments. There are certain investments that only allow business-led owners or something that would then only be on their platform. There might be investments that are specific. I mean, I know there's one in South Africa where they crowdfund cattle that most people won't be interested in, but actually that would be highly relevant to certain people. And then there might be ones that business owners, I think Abdul, you might have said yesterday, business owners understand private equity a lot better than other people. Maybe it might have more of a hedge towards private equity. I don't know, but the beauty, but the beauty is that exactly the analogy of your own shop. They get to decide what chicken they want to sell in their shop. So I'm not sure if everyone truly understands what just happened there, but anyway, I just want to acknowledge the tech team because they work night and day. I got that message at 3 a.m. this morning to say we were all live. So, yeah. So, yeah, no problem.
I didn't see it.
So let me go. Which one was it? I think it was one over. Yep, there it is. So let me log out. I want to show you what it's like. So let me just sign out. So there it is when you log in. And then basically when you sign in, you go into it, and so it's all branded in the same branding, your logo and everything. And then you've obviously got the marketplace with all the different.
Scott, can you share?
Oh, sorry. So yeah, there it is. And you'll notice, just for the record, that you don't have any deals below here, because farmers and wealth haven't done any deals.
Yeah.
Do you see the logic? Like, it's always an important thing. So over time, it'll be that we're building momentum. Okay, so it's a tea break. Yes, Abdul?
I think a good one for business owners, and I talk from experience. What are you short of? Always money or access to it.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, one thing that is very weak and poor and absent in South Africa is crowdfunding, but we need to give it a different name. Okay? In a sense that, how can I invest in your private equity?
Yeah.
Okay? And that will make a lot of sense. I'll give it some thought. And see whether one can populate it there. However, there are some regulations that we need to be aware of. Okay, so one will just go through that, find a product and populate it.
So I will say this publicly. In 2014, I got invited to the first crowdfunding conference in China. When I was in China, I got to meet the head of Europe, the head of England, the head of England, the head of America, the head of Asia, the head of Australia. I was like, where's Africa? They literally had all these crowdfunding associations. There was none from Africa. So I was like, will all seven of them, there were 7 of them. I was like, will all 7 of you support me if I start Africa? And they said yes. So in 2015, we started the African Crowdfunding Association. I personally went to the FSCA and said, listen, you folks don't have any rules here. The rest of the world, well, not quite the rest of the world, but England and America started in 2013. To this day, we don't have regulation for crowdfunding in South Africa. I've been working on it for, 9 years now. There isn't the Crowdfunding Association in terms of that process, but it's a deep necessity within this country. We got the first license in this country in 2020, but it's not a crowdfunding license. We had to fit within the realms of the regulation they had, but it's not true crowdfunding. Like, everywhere now in the first world has proper crowdfunding regulation. It's not trying to fit old world regulation into new world technology. Does that make sense? So, but that's a whole nother conversation, but I just literally, it's been a decade of trying to get South Africa into the space of allowing crowdfunding.
Does that mean you can't do it because it's not regulated, or does it mean you can just do whatever you want?
That's a conversation we'll have once Zoom's off. No, so I'll tell you what happened. So in 2015, I got into trouble. Go and Google it. It's on Google, where I spoke out about this, and they actually came out and they said Migrate is not regulated. This was 2015. But they can't be regulated because there's no crowdfunding regulation. So we were kind of in a no man's land. The problem is we're playing in a regulated space and people expect regulation. So, but it's hard to comply with something there's no rule to comply to. So we managed to solve that in 2020 in terms of complying with the current rules as they exist. But in this country, we haven't complied. Well, you can't. No one can comply. There is no crowdfunding regulation. We're currently going through European crowdfunding regulation. Right now, it's only just come out. It costs 150,000 euros. This stuff is not cheap. But I mean, I don't want to be arrogant, but there's little I don't know about crowdfunding worldwide and regulation, and have all the people to support us around the world that have done it everywhere else. So anyway, it's got nothing to do with investment except for the fact that it's passionate for me that we can allow people to participate in it. So anyway, let's have a tea break. What is the time quickly? Just before I go to tea break, was that valuable?
Yes.
Like, rather than me just going straight into module 4 and kind of giving you the whole partner thing. Was that worth it? Yeah? Would you recommend in future that they have to come with me?
Yeah. What the police said was critical on the SMEs because I also deal with them a lot.
Yeah.
Construction. And they are failing.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so thank you to all of you that participated in that. It is 10:42. let's round up on energy. We'll be back in the room at 11 o'clock. Is that cool? Okay. So I don't know what's happening outside, but there is tea and stuff outside. And we'll be back in the room at 11 o'clock. We actually, funny enough, started this morning with partners, but after the tea break, we'll pivot into how to find the right partners, in terms of that process. Okay. To everyone online, I'll put the counter on, and we will see you in whatever it is, 18 minutes. Shane, are you good? Is there anything I'm forgetting?
No, all good from our side.
Thanks, mate.
You guys enjoyed that?
Not being a victim, anytime you talk